Hello, what's up YouTube? Running with another tutorial, and in this tutorial I want to show you how I did the color grading for this image in Capture One. So this is Capture One and it is not Photoshop. Those that always ask me, this is Capture One and the version I'm using of Capture One is Capture One 21. So I want to show you how you can easily adjust and color grade your images in Capture One. And also those who would love to get Capture One, you can pay for the license and you can get Capture One from their website. Just type in Google and just search Capture One and you'll have the directions on how to get your Capture One and you pay for a license. So right now I'm in the interface of Capture One, and basically why mine looks the way it is, I simply came to Window Workspace, I came to Migration, and I had my interface like the way it is in my Lightroom. So like as we're going on with this tutorial, if at all you're missing anything in your Capture One tools, just simply right click here and just come to add tool, and you can add whichever tool you're missing right here. So that is how first of all go about the interface in Capture One. So the image I'm going to be working on is another image I took a while back. So let me show you a quick before and after. So I'm just going to click on the before and after slider and I toggle to show you what you're going to be achieving. So this is the before and this is the after. So I'm just going to come and I reset everything. So for this case, we're just going to be using 3 adjustment layers. So I'm just going to come and I'm going to hit reset right here, and I'm going to reset the image, and you can see it is a raw file taken using my Canon 60 camera. And for better color grading, I would recommend that you always shoot in RAW because you're going to be having so much information to work with in your images. So after doing that, the first thing I do before doing color grading is first of all correct the lighting issues within the photo. So I'm just going to come to the highlights because I feel like the highlights are really blown out in this image. I'm just going to come to the high dynamic range option and I take down the highlights and do the same for my whites. Come to my exposure and simply take it down to just like that. And after doing that, I'm just going to come to my clarity and add a slight bit of clarity to around 6. And after doing that, I'm just going to add a tiny bit of contrast within the image up to around 7 because I prefer my images to be or to have that nice and rich contrast. Then after doing all that, the next thing I tend to do is come into my levels and simply dragging in my blacks just like that to add a more richer range within my contrast. So just that is going to get the job done. And after I have done all that, so I'm done correcting the lighting issues in the image, so I could just slightly open up my shadows and slightly darken the exposure rather, take it down. So now the image has been corrected and it is not like it was before. Just see, we have just corrected the lighting issues on this very image, and it is the advantage of shooting in RAW. So in Capture One, as you can notice, we have been working on the background layer. So usually I work on correcting the lighting issues on the background layer itself. Then when it comes to color grading, I tend to do the color grading on a way separate layer so that if at all I tend to go overboard, I can turn down the opacity. You can see the background layer usually doesn't have the option for reducing on the opacity or in the intensity of the effect you may have added into your image. So in order to do that, I'm just going to right click and I come to new field adjustment layer, meaning this is going to be like a layer or a mask that is going to fill up on the overall image. And I could rename this to color grading so that you don't get lost. Color grade. And after doing that, I'm just going to go all the way down into my skin tone. So usually when I'm doing color grading, I tend first of all handle the skin tones and I match and even them out. So I'm just going to come to the skin tone option, and you can see when you select skin tone, you have the option for the eyedropper tool or the color picker tool. So when you left click on that, it's going to turn into orange, and now you have the option of zooming in by using Ctrl Command plus on the keyboard. And using the eyedropper tool, I'm just going to sample an area that I want to be representative or to represent the rest of the skin of this model. So I'm just going to come and I simply click on that area. This area is good. And you can see when you click on that area, it shows the range within the color option or the targeted area. And in order to see this range quite well, after selecting that, you can come all the way down, you scroll down, and you come to view selected color range. And when you click on that, you can see the range in which the colors we have just selected, and that range contains these colors right on this pie shaped area. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back right here and I'm going to turn this off, because that helps me to check and see the color range where the image falls or where the skin tone falls. So after that, I'm just going to come to the uniformity slider and just look at the uniformity slider. When I take it up, you can see that the skin tone really gets and looks uniform. Just look at how the skin is now looking uniform. Remember, we had some bit of yellows, we had magentas right here and oranges, but now the skin tone is looking uniform. I'm going to come to also the saturation and simply increase on the saturation just like that, so the skin can look even or more even, just like that. Just look at how these two sliders are really doing the magic. So let me just show you a quick before and after as we proceed. So just look at the before and look at the skin tone before after. Just look at how nice and rich the skin tone has turned out to be with just these two sliders. But that is not enough. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up here so you can see we have where it says amount, and under amount, when you take the hue slider towards the left hand side, you'll be adding magentas within the skin tone, and when you take it towards the right hand side, you'll be adding greens into the skin tone. So to reset, just simply double click on the option or just double click on the slider to reset. So I'm just going to add a little bit of greens within the image. Then I'm going to take down the saturation slightly, just like that. And I'm going to come to my lightness and simply take the lightness just down. So zoom in, zoom out, command minus to zoom out. Just look at how the image has turned out to be and how it is now looking. It now has uniform skin. So next thing I'm going to do is coming and handling the greens within the background and also the jacket of our model right here. So I'm just going to come to the basic option, and under this I'm just going to target first of all the blues, and under the blues simply I'm just going to come to the hues and I'm just going to hue the blues just like that, because I prefer them to look a little bit more to the aqua side. And I'm going to intensify the saturation slightly because I feel like I need more attention on the jacket of our model right here. So at around 31 we are good to go, and I'm going to brighten it up by taking up the lightness just like that. So at around that looks great. So I want to handle the greens in this case. So in order to handle the greens, I'm going to come to the greens and make sure I click on the green slider, and I'm going to take the hue all the way down just like that. And I'm also going to come to my saturation and I'm going to desaturate the green color just like that. So I'm just going to take it down all the way up to around negative 50, negative 51 looks great. And after doing that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come to my adjustment layer right here, and I create one new more field adjustment layer. So right click and you create a new layer. So under this layer, I'm just going to handle more the greens in this image. So come to the green slider and actually take the hues even down. So I'm just going to take them down even more, just like that. And let me just see if at all I take it towards the right hand side, what we are going to be having. So I'm just going to take it down slightly. And you can see now the image really looks nice and great. So next thing I'm going to do right now is handling the oranges within the skin tone. So I feel like I should slightly take down the lightness of the oranges so that I can have a more richer skin. And this looks great and looks nice. So you can see that the skin tone is now looking very nice and very even, but we still have those white areas within the skin tone. So I'm just going to come to the high dynamic range and simply take the highlights down, and also do the same for my whites to try and reduce on the intensity of the whites in these areas. So when I'm done doing all that, the next thing is going to be coming to my color balance. So under color balance, you can see we have shadow, midtone, and highlight. So I just want to add a little bit of blues within the shadows of this particular image. So in order to do that, I just want to add a slight bit of aquas, and you can see when you take this all out towards the edge, it adds too much of the color, and you can see you can reduce that by taking this down. And when you're taking it down, you can see that it tends to slightly go back towards the center. So the closer it is to the edge, the more saturated that color is going to be, and the furthermore it is, the less saturated. So just going to reduce that just by a tiny bit. That looks great. And just look at the overall before and after for our color grading. This is the after and this is the before, after. Just look at how nice and how much of a rich skin tone that we have been able to get or achieve. So I'm just going to turn off the before and after, and you can see that we are working with layers. So when you feel like you want to eliminate a particular color from a given area, simply select that layer that you applied the color grading on, for example the skin, or if at all you feel like the color grading affected maybe the lipstick or eyeshadow, select that layer and come and get your eraser tool. You can use M on the keyboard to show you the mask for the area, and with this plus icon you can just eliminate the color grading from specific areas from actually changing the makeup of your models or the subjects you're trying to edit or retouch. Or you can even paint on the lipstick to eliminate the color grading from alternating or changing the color of the lips in this case. And after doing that, you can come and click M on your keyboard and you can see the effect right now. So let's see the overall before and after for the color grading. This is our before and after. So basically this is how I color graded this image in Capture One, and I went to Photoshop and I did my final skin retouching process and dodging and burning. So when you're done doing this, you can just come to image, edit with, and you select Photoshop, and you can export the image into Photoshop to do the skin retouching and final adjustments. So this is it for this tutorial. And like I forgot to tell you, if at all you feel like you have done too much, select that layer and reduce on the opacity of that effect from affecting your image too much. So this is it for this tutorial, and if at all you have loved this, don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe this channel. If at all you have been watching and you're not subscribed this channel, Ronix from Ronix Photography, thank you for watching and see you in yet more amazing tutorials. Don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.